Let's take a look at what's going on with Dogecoin today. Okay, so we've been watching these uptrends right here. We had an uptrend and then we broke it right here. We had support, 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 and then we finally broke it going to the downside. In my last video, I was talking about how this could be a sign that we're going to be heading down and or testing this trend line, because we also had support, 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 giving me this uptrend going like this. We actually came down, tested that uptrend, and broke it going to the downside. The other thing that I was talking about though is we kind of got resistance in this at this Fibonacci retracement level. Let's go ahead and talk about the Fibonacci retracement chart just in case you're new. When we have a nice little run up going, or when we have a run going to the upside and then we think that we're topping out, we get the Fibonacci retracement tool, drag from the bottom to the top, and that gives us levels to watch. I talk about that in almost every one of my videos. Okay, so now that with that out of the way though, these levels can be used to trade off of, or at least I think, I mean, in general, I use them to trade off of sometimes. So they can act as resistance, like we came up to the 38% level, hit the target, and then got resistance and pushed to the downside. And I was saying if we come down, then we could start looking at the next previous Fibonacci retracement levels going to the downside. We came down, hit that Fibonacci retracement level. I think I mentioned in one of my last videos is once we broke this uptrend going to the downside, I closed one of my positions and then put in a limit order here at around 0.156. It was a small trade, but it still came down, hit my limit order, and now got back my Dogecoin from, I think it was like an 8% trade or something like that. Let's see, from here to here. Yeah, somewhere around 8%. So yeah, let's see if we can get a bounce now on this Fibonacci retracement level and start pushing back to the upside. We came down, got support, and now it looks like could be bouncing back to the upside. But okay, so we're watching trends going up, right? We could also watch them going down. So let's go ahead and delete, since we broke this one, let's go ahead and delete that one. Since we broke this one, we can pretty much delete that one as well. We technically have broken those, so we are trending, or we might be switching sides and going to the downside. There is a couple things that might be holding us up though. So, but in general, the trend lines. So when we're going up, we're watching the bottoms, the supports. That's where we're making our lines from. And then when we're going down, we watch the tops and as resistances, because we need to break the resistance. We either need to break the support going to the upside like we did here, or when we're going down, we need to break the resistance to see when we're changing directions. So let's go ahead and draw that trend line something like this, because we have this resistance right here, this resistance right here, giving us this trend line, something like that. You could also argue if we go into like the 1 hour, there's probably another one right here. Let's see, we had resistance and then resistance, resistance. So there's also like another little trend line, maybe something like this. So we have these two downtrends. We have this downtrend and then we have this downtrend. We actually broke this second downtrend going to the upside right now. So that's another reason that I'm wondering if we're gonna start bouncing back up. And that was just a little cool off. Bounced on that Fibonacci retracement level that I like watching. Boom, got that bounce, and now we're heading back to the upside. Even since, okay, so I put in that limit order right at that Fibonacci retracement level. I think I'm up like 3% right now on this trade. So can we, I guess the question is, are we going to find support right here and it's going to hold and we're actually going to start pushing up? I think we do have to break this trend line before we can start getting more bullish again and maybe come back up to this one and or this bigger target that I've been looking at in general. If we go into like the daily time frame, we've been talking about this on this channel, a target of around 0.22. We have this big falling wedge. I'm on the daily time frame now. We come down, falling wedge patterns, basically like a channel pattern going to the downside. But as the channel goes down, it gets tighter, tighter, tighter. This pattern right here is actually a bullish pattern, even though it's going down. But the only thing that, well, a lot of the times it breaks to the upside, let's say. That's what makes it a bullish pattern. But we have to break this resistance right here, which we did right here. Ever since then, we've been trending to the upside or having nice moves to the upside. So, yeah. Okay, so in the falling wedge pattern, Once we break that resistance, then we're looking at the previous resistances. We have a resistance right here, we have a resistance right here, and we have a resistance right here. Once we break that resistance, then we can start. These are our targets right here, and right here. We came up, hit that first target in this area, got some. That's when we got that consolidation. Got not a little bit of trouble, but we did kind of like start to like chill out right there, kind of cool off, get a nice little cool off, and then we bounced back to the upside. Right here, we came up, hit the second target. That was the second target right here. We came up, hit .173, the target that I was looking at. That's the second target. So number one, number two, and then we have the third target sitting at around .22042, or I don't know. It really depends. Let's see. This one, the previous resistance, maybe .2197 or something. I don't know. And just in general in this area, it's possible that we actually break through it and break out of this Fibonacci retracement box, but we're gonna have to wait and see on that. Right now, like I was just saying, we are technically in a downtrend on the shorter time frame, short term kind of thing, because yeah, we have that resistance right there. Technically, we are kind of trending down, or we need to break out of this downtrend before we could really get more confident on this target. And that'd be like the next place that I'm looking at. I mean, we could have some trouble here or the 38% level again, but if we break this trend line going to the upside, I think the next level that we'd want to break is that 38% level, sitting at around .173 again. Once we break above that and start heading up, then we'd be looking at this next one sitting at around .195. If we could break above that, then that's when I'm going to be more confident on that. But those are like kind of the steps that we need to do before we can come up to this target, obviously. But if we break these, then that gives me more confidence that we'll come up, hit the next one. If we break above that one, then we can start looking at this one really. Right now, we are still above this 50% level, sitting at around .156, 157, approximately 156, 157, somewhere around there. We need to... what I want us to do is maybe go sideways here for a little bit, maybe something like that. If we could come back, I mean, if we can keep testing this one and then bounce to the upside. The other thing I noticed is, let's go ahead and take a look at the 9 moving averages. Let me go ahead and delete this. I'll delete this. Delete this. Okay, so I noticed on the daily time frame, on the 9 moving average, this is another thing that I watch on my channel, is the 9 moving average. If you go to indicators, search for moving average simple right here, moving average, then this will come up, boom, click that, and then you can adjust it over here. If you go to the settings, you can go to inputs, and that one's the 180 moving average, but the other one is the 9. So I have one set up for the 9 moving average and one set up for the 180 moving average. Basically, it is this blue line right here. And when we are above it, then we can get support on it, possibly. And when we break below it, like right here, then it's going to give us resistance. So right here, we broke below it, broke below that 9 moving average. Ever since then, we were getting resistance, pushing us to the downside. Over here, let's see, where's a good example? Right here, we broke above it, got some support on it, moved up. We broke below it for a second, but it couldn't stay down. Broke above it again right here. Support, 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 pushing us to the upside in general. Right here too, support. We broke above it, and then ever since then, support, 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 pushing us to the upside. Came back in and tested it, went through it, but broke back above it again. So came back down and tested it. Support, bounced us to the upside. Check out what happened just now though. We have this 9 moving average, something like that. We came back down, hit that Fibonacci retracement level along with the 9 moving average, tested it. Let's see if we can get a bounce out now and start continuing to head back up to this area that we were just talking about with that falling wedge pattern. What are some of the other things that I'm looking at? The weekly and the monthly. Oh, we closed the monthly candle, so let's check out that. Actually, I've been talking about this too. We had this candle, the October candle right here. This is the monthly time frame. So each one of these candles represents a month, and same thing with that 9 moving average. What I wanted us to do is close above the 9 moving average. We have the 9 moving average right here. I'm highlighting it. I wanted this candle to close above this 9 moving average, maybe we have to come back down and retest it. I mean, it's sitting around 0.1447 right now. So even if we come back down to these levels and then test it and then get a bounce on it, that would still be good. As long as we can stay above the 9 moving average on the monthly time frame, I think that'll be a good sign. This is a big time frame. I've been also talking about how we kind of get these little pumps and then we kind of start heading down. We'll start testing it and then we head down too, though. So it's kind of hard to tell. Like, we get these nice little pumps, come back into it, test it, and then break through it and go down. We break above it, come back down, start testing it, and then head down. Break above it, get a nice little run, come back in and test it, break through it, and then it goes down. I'm kind of wondering if that was our little run. We're going to test it and start heading down again. But, I mean, it's just a pattern that it's kind of doing right now. It's like it breaks up and then it kind of like, we have these like nice runs and then it kind of goes back down again. Nice run, back down. Nice run, back down. I hope that we can get at least squeeze out a little bit more, a nice little run, and then maybe come back down and then like bounce something like that. Or I'm not sure, but we'll kind of see what happens. I do think in general, though, being above these 9 moving averages, or being above the 9 moving average, is a good sign rather than breaking below it. Then we know at least that, like right here, we broke below it, and ever since then, downside. We started testing it and breaking below it, downside. Broke below it, downside. So, but it's like it's a big time frame, so we'll have to wait and see. We have 29 days and 13 hours to see what this candle does. But in the meantime, let's take a look at the weekly. Let's go ahead and delete this little trend line. Let's try to clean up this chart a little bit. Something like that. Something like that. Okay, so same thing with the weekly. I mean, you could use these moving averages on all the time frames. So we have the 9 moving average right here. Ever since we broke below it here, we came up, tested it, rejected. Right here, finally, it was like, you're going down. Boom. Went down, came back up, tested it, you're going down. Boom. Every time we keep on coming into it, we're testing it and getting resistance on it. Like I said, when we break below it, we broke below it right there. That 9 moving average, something like this. We get resistance on it. Boom, 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 giving us trouble. Right here, we finally broke above it a couple weeks ago. We broke above it. Boom, support. Boom, tested it, support. Boom, tested it, support. Came up. I mean, like right now, we're clearly above it. Sometimes I talk about this too. Is I like when we have these like scoop patterns or the hook to the upside. And then when we get the hook to the downside, that's not good. We want to wait till, what we want to do is with the moving averages in general, like I would want, if we have, let's say we're in a situation right here where we don't know like what's going to happen next. Like we could only see like this much of what's going on right now. Like that's it. Because this 9 moving average has like this hook to the downside, like, like the hook is flipped this way. I like to see when the hook kind of comes down, we get closer to the price and then we can go through it sideways as opposed to going through it straight directly like it's the roof. You know what I mean? So just another kind of thing that I look for when I'm looking at these 9 moving averages. But I do like it when it does this kind of a thing where we go boom and we get like the nice little hook to the upside. So right now we are kind of riding that little wave pushing us up. Hopefully we can continue on this trend where we get support on that 9 moving average, boom, 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 and continue to push us to the upside. Like I said, being above the 9 moving average is a lot better than being below it, because now we can, the trend is that it's going to give us support and it's going to push us to the upside. When we're below it, the trend is it's going to push us to the downside. So those are some of the things that I'm looking at. The daily time frame. What else do we got in the daily? So I think, okay, so we're just talking about like the trends on the 4-hour time frame, this little area right here. But let's go ahead and take a look at the trends, the uptrends that we're also looking at, because we have support. Let's go ahead and draw our lines like that. Like I said, when we're going up, we want to look at the bottoms. So we have that bottom right there. and then we have this bottom, something like that. This is on the daily time frame. So we're still technically in two uptrends right now on the bigger time frame. Uptrend, uptrend. Let's see if we can continue to ride this uptrend going to the upside. Boom, 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 something like that. That's another thing that I'm looking for. So like, let's say we start going sideways, we break this trend going to the downside or even going sideways. In that case, what I would do is, like in yesterday's video, I would look at the top and I would look at the support that it's been getting, something like that. Let's say it goes kind of sideways, something like this. Boom, boom, boom. We break this trend going sideways, or technically down because we're not continuing to head up on it. But if we break this bottom right here, then we could start looking at the next Fibonacci retracement levels and or the previous support trends, or the trend lines, the previous uptrends, should I say. We haven't done that yet. It's still possible that we kind of go sideways and then bounce to the upside. So let's say we bounce, let's say we break the top, let's say we break out of that top, then we can get more confident on the next Fibonacci retracement levels or the target that the pattern has given us. So we have this pattern, we have the targets, came up, hit those first two targets, which was nice. But now we want to see if we can hit that third target and or break out of this Fibonacci retracement box. I think if we break out of the Fibonacci retracement box and break this top right here, then we can start looking at the next resistances that we have. I just switched to the weekly time frame again, and we have a resistance right here and we have a resistance right here. So the next ones would be around .281, and then the one after that would be around .34. What was it? 341, 340, somewhere around there. Those are the next spots that I'd be looking at if we could break this top right here, sitting at around .229. But yeah, I mean, I like in general though, like I do, like I said, these are one of my favorite patterns. These falling wedge patterns, one of my favorite patterns. Once we break that, it's a very bullish signal, and that we're gonna continue to head up. I'm very curious if we're gonna come up to the next target, which is sitting at around .220. First thing we have to do though is break this top, break out of this Fibonacci retracement level as well. Hold support on this one. I mean, we don't have to. We can come down and then bounce to the upside still. But I talk about this on every one of my videos. That's why I like watching these Fibonacci retracement levels, is because check out what happened though, guys. We came up, we hit the target, we came up, hit the Fibonacci, the 38% level. That was my target based on the Fibonacci retracement levels and the previous resistance of that falling wedge pattern. So we came up, hit that target, we found resistance right on that Fibonacci retracement level. Boom, resistance, started pushing down, came down, hit the next one, filled my limit order, then got a bounce to the upside. It's possible that we could have broke down and went lower, but we did get a nice little support right here. Let's see if we can continue that. The other thing that I was kind of noticing is if we go back to okay, so we're on the 4-hour time frame, that's correct. Okay, so let's take a look at the little bull flag that we just kind of came out of. So we had resistance, something like that, and then we had support, something like this. Also in these falling wedge patterns, something that happens often is we'll have the falling wedge pattern. It breaks below the falling wedge. Like we have a support right here. It breaks below it, and then it comes back into the pattern, and then breaks out, and then it breaks out even harder. So I think it's called a fake out. So it'll fake you out going to the downside, and then it'll get a bounce and come back into the pattern, do something like that possibly, and then break up and start heading back up, and then that pattern is still intact. Basically what I'm trying to say is we kind of did that over here in a little mini fashion. So we had a little channel pattern. It was getting tighter and tighter. We broke below it, and then we came back into it, and then when we broke that resistance, that's when we really started taking off. So what I'm curious is, are we doing the same thing right now? Let's go ahead and zoom into where we're at right now. So we have this resistance right here. We have resistance. And then we also had support. It's not the same though. It's a little bit different because we had support. In this one, we were kind of heading down on both directions. We were getting lower highs, lower lows. This one we kind of had on the lows. It was kind of like a straight line right there. This one's lower highs, but this one's kind of like similar lows. Basically, what I'm kind of wondering, though, is are we doing the same thing that we did here where we broke below that support and then we're going to break back into this pattern like that and then break to the upside? That's also why I'm saying, like I said at the beginning of the video, is we need to break this resistance in general. I mean, I think I'm focusing more. Let's go ahead and delete this one. I think I'm focusing more on this trend line, this downtrend right here. More than anything, if we break that resistance, then we can start getting more confident, just like we did right here. Once we broke this resistance and that Fibonacci retracement level going to the upside, I put in a position right here in Robinhood, like a small position, just like messing around. Bounced to the upside. I was looking at those trend lines that I was telling you about. We broke that first one. I said, okay, we broke that trend line. Let's see if we come back down, hit that Fibonacci retracement level, and then maybe we get a bounce right there. We came down. When we got support right here, which I was like, oh, maybe I was wrong. But came down, got resistance again, pushed down, hit that limit order. Now we're getting a nice little bounce to the upside. Let's see if we can continue this momentum, break out of this resistance. Once we break out of this resistance, then we can get more confident on either we could have trouble at this Fibonacci retracement level, but at least it gives us more hope that we can actually come up to these levels. This would be a little indicator that we might be heading up if we can break this trend line, something like that. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other charts. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. We've been looking at Bitcoin right now on this channel because if Bitcoin's going up, then all the rest of the coins are going to benefit from it as well. And we've done some pretty good things on Bitcoin the last couple of days. I mean, we were like approaching all-time highs the last couple of days, or we like, okay, so I talk about these Fibonacci retracement boxes and how it's the top. Right here was the all-time high sitting at what, like around 74,000, close to it. No, just a hair shy of 74,000, 73,886. So the other day, a couple of days ago, we came up and hit 73,630 something. So the point is, if we can break out of this little area. Okay, so number one, we'd been watching resistance, support. We had this little channel pattern, something like this, pushing us down. Or just kind of going sideways more than anything. But I was saying we need to break out of this resistance first, and then we need to break out of this Fibonacci retracement level, the previous top, should I say. Once we break that one, then we need to look at this resistance and this resistance, giving me this trend line. Once we break the top and go up and hit that trend line, we need to break out of that. Then we could start looking at around 122. How did you get to 122, you might ask? Google cup and handle pattern. Google cup and handle trading pattern. So we have a nice little cup right here. And then we have a channel pattern going to the downside, pushing us down. The way we target this is we drag from the bottom of the cup to the top of the cup. We go ahead and drag from the bottom of the top using a trend line tool. We can take this, drag this to the breakout of this channel pattern where we had this channel pattern, we had that resistance. We can drag that to the breakout, and that's where I get that target of around 122, 123,000. It kind of varies depending on where you drag it to, but I'm looking at around 122, 123. But the thing is, we have to break those 3 steps that I've been talking about on this channel and that I just mentioned. We have that first resistance. We actually broke above that. When we have to stay above that too. If we break below it and start coming back into this pattern again, then this, I mean, then I'd be less confident on it. Also, we have a trend line going to the upside. We have support when we're moving up. I've been saying, we want to watch the bottoms. We're watching the bottoms right now, watching that trend line. If we come back down, break that trend line, then we can start looking at the Fibonacci retracement levels again, going to the downside. So, yeah, like I said, the trend lines give us signals, though, guys. Like, if we break those going down, then that's our signal that we need to start looking at either the previous support levels or the previous Fibonacci levels. Right here, okay, so let's just go over Fibonacci again. Let me zoom in so you can get a better look. So we had this nice little run up. We started having trouble because when we start going parabolic, eventually we're going to need to cool off. So we have a nice little run. We think we're kind of topping out possibly. Then we get the Fibonacci retracement level. We drag from the bottom of the run to the top of the run, and that gives us levels to watch. We came back. We were getting support on that 23% level a few times. Boom, support. Boom, broke below it. We didn't quite hit that 38% level right here, but we came up, came back down, hit that 38% level perfectly. If you would have had a limit order at 38% level, then you would have got it filled. I actually did have one at this 30. I had one like right here and right here, the 50%, because I also like the 50%. When we have these big runs, a lot of times it'll go down to 50% and then it'll start to run again. But we didn't hit that limit order that I had a long time ago. Came down, hit the 38% though, and then got a bounce to the upside. So yeah, when we start, okay, so like I was saying, when we break trend lines, then we can get more confident whether it's going to go up or if it's going to go down. But I'm still hoping for that 122,000. I mean, I am slightly bullish bias on Bitcoin because it's one of my bigger holdings. I mean, I'm probably like, what is it, like 85% Bitcoin and like, I don't know, probably less than 10% Ethereum, and then probably like 5% Doge or something like that. I don't know, somewhere in there. And then I have like other altcoins that kind of make up the rest. But yeah, so I'm kind of bullish bias on Bitcoin, but let's see if it can do those three things that I was talking about. We did the first one. We broke that first resistance. Now let's see if we could break that top. If we could break the top, then all we need to do is break this last trend line of this resistance and this resistance. And then we could maybe start getting more confident on that target from this cup and handle pattern. Like I said, I'm not just making up this cup and handle pattern. Go ahead and Google it if you don't believe me. It'll show you basically exactly what this looks like. Usually it's a cup, and then we get like a channel going to the downside, and then you watch that resistance. Once it breaks the resistance, then we can say we have a cup and handle. The other thing with patterns though, and I've been talking about this as well, is I would like to see the volume come in. Usually when we have a pattern, something like this, you can look at the beginning of the pattern and the volume. Usually the volume starts declining, and then once we have a breakout, then we get bigger volume candles. And that's how, when we get these big volume candles, that is when the breakout is confirmed. Like we might have to break, we broke this one. If we could break the top and then we break this trend line, maybe that's when the volumes will start coming in. So we still don't know. I don't know. It's always kind of hard to tell at these tops because it always it's kind of annoying when you actually buy the top and you think that it's going to continue to move up, and then it's just like, no, I'm going to go back down. So, you have to be careful, but I don't know. I think Bitcoin in general is like a good investment. I don't know. I like my strategy with Bitcoin. I haven't been doing it lately. I haven't really been putting money into crypto in general lately because I already have like a good holding. But like, I think a good strategy with Bitcoin in general is just dollar cost averaging, like a 401k or something like that. $25 a paycheck or whatever you can afford, $20 or I don't know. I always kind of rationalized it like, I'm going to be spending $20 on something kind of dumb anyways, going out to eat, or I don't know, something dumb that's going to just take up space in my house or whatever. Or I could be putting in 10, $20, $25, $50, $100, whatever you could kind of afford. I used to do like 25s, like on every paycheck or something. Like I said, I haven't been doing it in a while. But you know that you start to average out, and then once we are in all-time highs, then all that is in profit. So I mean that's what you do on a 401k, right? Like every paycheck they kind of take out like $100 or whatever it is. So instead of putting into, like, what I did was, instead of putting it into stocks, and I closed my 401k a long time ago. Well, now I have a pension, but instead of doing that, then I started doing my own investing and putting it into Bitcoin and just doing small amounts like that. Just whatever you can afford, whatever you're going to, go buy junk with or something like that instead. I mean, you could kind of rationalize it like that. So, and like I was telling someone at work the other day, I mean, we're approaching all-time highs right now. Once we break the all-time highs, everyone who's ever put into everyone who's anyone who's ever put money into Bitcoin and just held on to it, you're in profit. Once we come up here, everyone's going to be in profit. So like, especially if we come up to like 122 or something, it's just going to be like, it's going to, all the people who have been buying in here, it'll finally pay off. And like I talked about in yesterday's video, I started putting in over here somewhere around like 7,000 or something like that. And then we got a huge crash down. Not a huge crash. It was a huge back then, but it doesn't look that bad right now. But it was down to like 3,000 or 4,000. And I just wish I would have been more, I wish I would have been more, I wish my sentiment would have been different back then, as double down when it starts going down. It's hard to do that though. Like right here, we started coming down. It's hard to double down when it's going down. Same with like Dogecoin. I mean, you don't know, but okay, so let's go back though. In general, I think Bitcoin's a better investment than Dogecoin, but I do like the way Dogecoin trades. I do love the way these swing trades that you can get on Dogecoin. Like I just said, we came up, we had resistance right here. We hit my target. We had that trend line. We broke it going to the downside. Just from this area to this area, that was around 8%. So that's pretty good. I mean, if you can just kind of time these, and that's also why I keep telling you guys, I love these Fibonacci retracement levels, because we can play off them. Even if we're just going sideways, like if we go, and I've mentioned this a long time ago, is the best thing that we could be doing is going sideways, up and down, and just keep on hitting those Fibonacci retracement levels, where we buy them at the levels, and then we sell them at the next one. I mean, you could be very conservative like that, where you just buy, sell, get out real quick, and then it comes back down, buy, sell. I mean, that's an ideal situation too. I mean, in general, okay, so like I have a pretty good amount of Dogecoin, so I would definitely not be mad if it came up to .22 and even beyond that. So I would like that as well. But the other thing that I like to do, I think I talked about this on one of my other videos, like a trading strategies videos, is I have some amount of crypto where I trade. I try to trade off of it, see places to buy and sell, and some of it I just buy it and then put it in my ledger and then forget about it. Especially with Bitcoin, I don't even trade Bitcoin at this point. I just buy it, accumulate it on Coinbase or whatever, and then send it to Ledger. And if you don't have a Ledger, you might want to check that out. I think I have a link in my description to like get one, but basically a way to secure your crypto. You don't want to keep your crypto on. I never talk about that on here, but I probably should start, is that you don't really want to keep your crypto in on an exchange, because you don't know what's going to happen. Like, you never know if they're going to go down or whatever. Coinbase seems like it's held the test of time, but that's still probably pretty new too. And so, but you still want to be careful. Like I said, I just keep it on Ledger, because then I'm full custody of it, and like then I know that I have it at my own bank, and that's the cool thing about Bitcoin and crypto in general. So yeah, I mean, it's just I'm holding on to it like gold or whatever. So bringing it back to Dogecoin though, I think the main thing that we're watching right now, 4-hour time frame, resistance, giving us this downtrend. We came down, hit the Fibonacci retracement level. Let's see if we can continue this bounce right here, push to the upside, break out of this resistance, break the Fibonacci, the 38% level that we came up and hit. It might give us trouble. Like I said, if we do something like this, then that probably won't be that horrible. But I want to see us break out of the 38% level, go to the next one, break that one, and hit up to .22. Let's see how fast it can do it or how slow it kind of does it. Sometimes it doesn't just go straight down, or straight up. It kind of does sideways things, or it'll like kind of slowly go down kind of thing, something like that, or slowly go up, where it's like not perfectly like zoom like it did over here. I mean, right here, once we broke that flag pattern resistance, boom, right here, boom. So yeah, I think those are the main things that I'm watching, though. Hopefully these videos help you guys to kind of understand how to do it on your own. If you're new to trading, go to tradingview.com, create an account, set up your watch list, whatever crypto or stocks you like. There's a search bar up here. You can search for your favorite crypto and what exchange you use, and or stocks. Like if we do, let's see, was it TSLA? That's Tesla. Boom, on NASDAQ. Then you can watch it. I like watching Tesla. I have some Tesla. GameStop's kind of fun to trade sometimes. I mean, it had a nice little pump not too long ago, but I didn't trade that. I did make a nice little trade earlier this year, though, on GameStop. It was like that last little pump to the upside. I just like having it on the watch list because then you could see like the percentages. So you have these percentages over here, and it shows you like what's kind of moving today and what's like getting kind of dumped on. So like these two, -4% GameStop, -3% Tesla. But I've been noticing that Dogecoin gets some pretty good movement. Sometimes not a lot of times, but sometimes Dogecoin will outperform like mostly everything. I'll be looking at this and it's like up like 8% and everything else is kind of just chilling, not like going crazy or anything. But so yeah, that's why I like using the watch list, is because you could come over here, look at the watch list and see what is actually performing right now. It looks like ADA, Cardano might be up 2%. If we look at this chart, we have resistance. I think we need to come up here, break that resistance, and then we can start going higher. But let's see what else we got. Uniswap, ICP to Bitcoin. And then I also like doing the pairings. So like the way I look at like Dogecoin to Bitcoin, I didn't cover that on this video, but this chart is basically, if this chart is going down, it's good for Bitcoin. And if this chart is going up, it's good for Dogecoin. But you basically do like the crypto you want and then BTC. So this one, let's see, Dogecoin to Bitcoin on Binance. But this kind of shows you like, is an altcoin outperforming Bitcoin, and that's a good sign if it is. Like, so on this one, ICP to Bitcoin, it looks like it is outperforming at 2.3%, but you have to look at the bigger picture, and it is kind of trending down still, and you want to do your technical analysis, what I've been kind of trying to teach you guys, or like kind of show you on how to read these charts. But yeah, if you're new to trading, go to TradingView. That's what program or what website I'm using right now. It's free. It's awesome. Instead of using like, Robinhood or whatever, or like Webull or any of these other, some of them like kind of incorporate the same stuff. I think even on Coinbase, it has these similar tools. You could probably use a lot of these tools on Coinbase, but I like the way that, on the new Coinbase, should I say, but I like the way the watch list and the indicators, and I don't know, it's just, like I said, a lot of the same websites use the same tools, but that's neither here nor there. All right, well, I think I can let you guys go now. We'll watch the 4-hour time frame. We'll watch this resistance. Let's see if we can get a bounce on this, continue to bounce to the upside, and break out of that resistance. But if you guys like the video, hit that thumbs up. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you want to watch the last video, check it out right here. And if you're new to trading, check out this playlist right here. It'll help you get started. All right, if you guys like this video, hit that thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next one.